very exciting actually, and the thing I enjoyed about it and I thought was most interesting was that everybody seemed to join in, relayed their experiences and what the industry impact was having upon their particular businesses, and we talked in depth about some of those particular issues and how we could take some of those things forward. Judging by the way the conversations went and the various discussions, when we got into the depth of some of those issues, it was clear that there are some common themes. Some of the global issues are clearly affecting a number of us, particularly from the recessionary issues and so forth. There's always that concern, and none of us are really going to share any state secrets or detailed risk issues that are unique to an organisation or to discuss specific pricing issues. But quite clearly there are definitely a number of common themes that are impacting us, and I think it's in everybody's interest to talk about those sort of things, to see how we can get better at mitigating some of those general risks, which are non-competitive in many ways, and also how we can better serve the customer at the end of the day. Clearly the regulatory environment has changed, and we're all spending a lot of time providing a lot more information and looking at a lot of the regulatory issues and the impacts upon both the banks and equally our customers. I think from a risk perspective per se, the whole playing field has changed, and we're clearly looking at a whole raft of different behavioural issues in the consumer risk area, looking at consumer behavioural patterns and how those are changing, and trying to marry those up with the products and how we move some of these things forward. Yeah, so I guess most of us from a risk background would say, well, it's a pendulum effect. Either it's in favour of risk within an organisation at one time, and that seems to be now, of course, or it's at the sales marketing side. And I look upon it as that pendulum effect, and I think it's trying to get a shorter oscillation on that pendulum. It's wrong that it's one or the other. It needs to be closer together and a better balance in that. And I truly think we're moving towards that, but clearly it's a risk-driven environment at the moment. But going forward, we get the best when we're closer together on some of those issues. There's no win-lose situation. It should be a balanced approach. We've agreed to look at what are those behavioural patterns that our customers are facing or have changed, the influences on them, the differences that exist across some of the countries or the similarities, and what are the industry things. And from one of the presentations at the last meeting, we were talking about more customer focus across a series of products and the power that gives you versus looking at credit cards or mortgages in isolation. Coupled with that, I think, is the regulatory environment and some of the influences there, and the incentive environment from the sales side. So I have to say I was unsure how the first one would go, but as I said earlier, I was pleasantly surprised, in fact overly surprised, about the openness of people to the level that they could be, and how in some ways we're all being affected by similar types of things, although, as we say, some of the things are specific to certain countries. And yes, I am, because the things we discussed give us a lot more food for thought going forward. And I think if that's the type of discussion we have, we've got much many more meetings to go.